Hello, my name is Daniel Allen Nelson, and I am an interdisciplinary theater artist. I'm one of the founding members of a collective called Woof Nova, which we founded about 10 years ago. And it's a group of us who all sort of work in an interdisciplinary fashion. We all work as performers, we've all directed, we all are designers and also writers. So I'm always, I think in my work, really interested in this kind of threshold or this permeable veil between fact and fiction, between illusion and hard-based reality. This show is, I think, as so much of my work is very personal because it really hinges on a lot of personal interests that are currently going on. I think that there's a very common experience happening right now in that there's a sense of displacement and nostalgia happening in the arts community in New York because there's a great evolution, kind of a cultural evolution happening that is in part contributed to technology, but also is greatly informed by economics in New York City. And I realized in the last several years there's been this kind of creeping feeling of nostalgia, this filter of nostalgia through which I view the work that I create and the work that I encounter, and it seemed to be almost as if I was living more in the past than I was in the present. And at the same time, almost kind of a consistent and gnawing fear about the future and what all of this meant for the future of not only the world but also the future of creating work and creating art, particularly in New York. So in that, I started to become a little fixated on what's the solution? What's the solution for being connected to the present? And I started finding I started reading a lot of texts that were from the early 20th century. I think maybe it was a time when with the Industrial Revolution, there's a similar, really rapid evolution and change of things. And all these kind of mystical, nonsensical texts that were really about humans' interaction with the natural world, and were full of animal imagery and people taking on attributes of animals. And so the piece really grew out of working with a lot of that imagery and sort of what it means to be in the present and to create in the present when one is so overwhelmingly being pulled into the nostalgia of the past, and then also has this fear of the future.